Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
We're in the same room.
In the same room.
What? This is so crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Maria's in New York. Well, first off, we just want to thank everybody that came to Arlington. Me and Maria were performing stand-up in Arlington, Virginia yesterday. No, the other day.
It was like 2 days.
2 days ago.
It was yesterday.
No, yesterday was
2 days
Sunday.
ago.
Yeah.
You
came.
A long weekend.
It has been. It was a lot of driving. There's a lot of traffic. Let's be honest. DC traffic, people make fun of it. It is as bad as they say it is. It was horrible. I wish everybody stayed at home, except for the people that came out to our show.
Yeah.
Thank you. We had tons of fans come out to the show, and it warmed our little Two Non-Doctors hearts. So we appreciate you. And I think we converted like 4 people to our podcast.
To the podcast, yeah. And then
so,
I think some people came from the podcast and then unsubscribed.
Yeah, that's a valid point too. They were just like, these women are idiots, and we have to stop supporting them. So both the newcomers, thank you so much, and the people that left us, you don't know, but we get it, and we understand. And that's it. Yeah, I don't even know if I can tell you about my weekend because you were with me for the weekend.
I was with you. We've been in each other's faces for quite a long time, and I think I've put on all her clothes. I'm wearing her headband right now, just for fun. And we've been snappy.
I'm just grumpy. I remember dating a guy, not very long. I remember dating a guy maybe like 10 years ago that was like, he wasn't that much older than me. I want to say he was like 8 years older than me.
Okay.
Maybe that's
10 years ago?
So 10 years ago, I was 26 and he was like 31. 32.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not.
And I didn't date him that long. But I remember he was traveling and I was like, oh, you should just drive. It's so much easier if you drive. And he's like, no, I fall asleep at the wheel in like 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, buddy. And at the time I was like driving to Ohio and back to do gigs. And then this weekend keep in mind, I rested for like a year and a half. I was so tired immediately. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm in my 30s. Like I just can't,
we're old.
Dude, I just can't drive like that anymore. Like I can do it. And it's only supposed to be like a 4-hour drive because of traffic. It was like 6 hours, blah, blah, blah. But I've just realized both going there and back, like, and then on top of it, like, I don't want to complain about my job, but doing 2 hours of performance every night on top of the traveling, on top of the fact that I'm old now, on top of the fact that I'm out of comedic shape, and on top of the fact that this is all new material, and on top of the fact that I'm extra nervous because I'm rusty, it took a lot out of me, and I'm still grumpy about it. And she's had to deal with the consequences. So you got the shiny, like, oh, thanks for coming. And I'm in the car with Maria, and I'm like, don't talk to me. And she handled it well. She's a trooper.
Yeah, they couldn't have handled it any other way. I didn't want to be left on the side of the road.
That's true. No, I was driving, and you were stranded.
No, we've done okay.
No, fine. We still love each other.
We're still happy to see each other.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other feelings about this weekend. The shows were great.
Oh, I loved them.
We visited a couple friends of mine. My buddy Jay. I don't think he listens to the podcast, but I met him when he was. So me and Maria have both done like tons of like military tours, and I did a military tour that took me to Alaska and the Marshall Islands. I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was fighter pilots. They were pilots. I don't know, but he was a colonel, and I became friends with him and his wife, and they now live in Virginia, and we hung out with them. And that was just like fun.
They're great.
Yeah. And a bunch of their friends came out to the show, and they're all like ex-fighter pilots. And it just makes me feel like I'm in like Top Gun. You know what I mean? I felt like this weekend I was in a retired Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
Like Top Gun 20 years later.
Do you know what I just noticed? The dynamic of this podcast has become less of like me catching up with you and then us catching up with them. Isn't that weird? It's like normally we're just talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then now it's become like, what do we tell you guys? And it's just like, we should probably just focus back on ourselves.
But it was like, we're
like a team now.
Yeah, because we're in the same room. And you got to meet them.
I think it would have been a beautiful flapper.
You would have. I agree with that. Also, that color is very 20s.
Is it?
I don't know. I just said it.
Very Egyptian 20s.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
announcements.
Yeah.
Thank you to all our Patreons. We are always forever grateful to everybody that supports us. If you do not know, you get weekly bonuses for just $5 a month. You can get monthly bonuses. You can get stickers. You can be a Google guest. You can control our Googles. There's tons. You can get signed versions of my book. You can get some of our stand-up that we haven't posted. You have so many options of bonus things you can get if you contribute, and we appreciate you. And yeah, thank you.
Follow us on the socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at 2 Non-Doctors, the number 2, full word doctors, and then Instagram is 2 Non-DRS. And if you have time, leave us a little rate and review because it makes us feel good. Helps us get seen. And we just, we love it. We post it on our social medias. I'm checking out now for some reason to see if we had any new ones. But that wouldn't be the same, would it? But yeah, but mine's in the UK.
Oh yeah, UK ones are different.
But also like for some reason Apple hasn't been updating their.
Oh yeah, it was like kind of weird. I was like checking and I couldn't see the last 3 episodes. So hopefully if.
So you had to delete it and then re-download it. But like if you're watching on YouTube and you
feel like you're behind.
We stopped doing audio. We haven't. It's just
Apple Podcasts is stupid.
They suck. Also, personal announcement. What am I doing? I'm recording my album on the 30th of August. We're Muppets. And I'm really excited about it. If you're in London or near London and you can make it, that would be amazing. August 30th is a Monday. It's a bank holiday, though. And there's 2 shows, 6 and 8 p.m. I'd love to fill the rooms to have a boisterous good album, boisterous laughter.
You could make history. Your laugh will be on an album for eternity.
I mean, honestly, because we just listened to Mitch Hedberg's album in the car, and he had a bass in the background, which I was thinking about doing because brilliant. And but like there are just laughers in that. They're just gonna be there forever. And Mitch Hedberg's he's like already legendary status. So, you know, when I become a legend, your laugh should be in the background.
Also, like sometimes, like I'll hear, like I'll be driving, and a clip of mine from on Sirius XM will come up.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, that's Prakash's laugh.
Oh,
that's
really?
Nitika's laugh. Like I have a couple friends that are like good solid laughers that are on every album.
Good, you deserve that because you're a good solid laugher too. Because
I am. I have a great
every
laugh.
recording I have that you're at, you can just hear you and it's great. It's perfect.
Your laugh is on Mind Over Melee, my second album.
Oh, check me out on Mind Over Melee.
Yeah. So she's got some good hearty laughs in there. So be a laugher. You will have all the information on your website. Do a better job at promoting yourself.
Oh my God. So you can go to, because it'll be at the Bill Murray in Angel in London. So you can go to angelcomedy.co.uk. There's 2 shows at 6 and 8 p.m. Or if you go to my website, marishahada.com, it's in my announcements bar at the top. So there's links to both shows. And also like on my Twitter and I think on my Instagram, I have a link tree and it's the first 2 links.
Yeah. And I'll be posting the shit out of it because she's brilliant. Because if you were here this weekend in Arlington, you know that. But you missed it. So don't miss it if you're in London. Solid announcements. You did a great job.
Thank you. Look, even the mug matches my shirt. It's all like 1920s and it's like color.
You have to live here. Okay. My own personal announcements. I have Atlanta coming up. I'm at the Punchline in Atlanta. I want to say like July 23rd to 25th. I'm in Cleveland, July 30th. And then I just added Sunnyvale, California. I'll be at Rooster Tea Feathers, headlining September 9th and 12th. I have a bunch of other dates that is on my website as well, because like Texas and Oklahoma City and blah, blah, blah. But those are this upcoming and recently added. And of course, go buy my book. If you have bought my book, leave me an Amazon review about my book.
I love the name Rooster Tea Feathers. It's just...
Because you know what? We're so used to like jelly beans and like even like the Punchline or what's
Go Bananas,
Zanies.
But Rooster Tea Feathers just reminds me of like a door-to-door rooster salesman. He's just got a little bow tie and a little suitcase.
Yeah, I should find out why the fuck this comedy club is called that, because it is one of the more unique comedy club names. Yeah. Like I'm doing Kansas City Comedy Club or the Comedy Club of Kansas City, something like that, and I'm like, direct. Yeah, very direct name. But like our whole job is to be crafty. Why do we not have like a crafty name?
Yeah.
I named somebody's kitten today. This is probably the third person that's asked me like, hey, I got a kitten. Do you have any name suggestions? I gave like 14 name suggestions. He liked 2 of them. I'm pretty sure I just named a kitten. So I'm just saying, like, why don't they go to comedians and be like, hey, you know, the people that are inside our building that are the craftiest people in the world, why don't you help us name our building?
Yeah.
Fan mail?
Fan mail, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. YouTube comment. All right, we have a YouTube comment from Tjiema Kia. They say, it's so weird to hear that you guys can relate to the imposter thing. I found this channel a few days ago, and yesterday I thought to myself, these girls have a clear career path, invested in their talents, and are now professionals. Unfortunately, I was getting down on myself. The next thought was, what have I done with my life so far? But this episode encouraged me to reframe my past experiences and to stop comparing. So thanks, ladies. Greetings from the Netherlands. That's awesome.
That.
Yeah, I love that too.
I don't want to say it never goes away, but there are moments, like we were actually talking about this in the car a little bit. Like I feel for myself, I feel like I definitely struggled with self-esteem, feeling good enough, feeling like I was talented enough or I was worth taking up space in any aspect, whether it was creative, like being in a club or talking with other comics, to just when you had conversations with friends or you made a new friend or whatever. So I think after a while, both being experienced, having relationships with people, having I don't want to say credits, that's such a like showbiz term, but like having things on my resume that make me feel like I've earned my keep, all have helped me build up my self-esteem, but also give me the ability to talk myself off a ledge when things do start to look, or I do start to get down on myself, or I do start to doubt myself. And sometimes we do it for each other, but even sometimes I'm by myself, I start to think like, oh God, I haven't done anything with my career. Oh God, I don't deserve to be here. Or, oh God, I just got hired for this corporate gig. I said I can do it and now I have to do it. And can I even do this? And I can't believe I asked for more money. I don't deserve more. And you just go in this spiral. And I think sometimes it takes looking back at your resume or looking back at this being like a normal feeling that everybody goes through. And I don't want to say it never goes away, but it will surprisingly pop up and you have to do this kind of self-soothing and like background homework, I don't know, like experience homework to like get you back into the right mental space.
Yeah, and it's weird because it will pop up like just randomly. It's like some days you're just like the most confident in the world, and then you book shows all around the world because you're like, I can do it all, and then I'm gonna record my album and a special and write a sitcom all this week, and then like later that day you're like, well, I can't do anything. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I have no anything.
I've taken 3 naps in one day.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like it just fluctuates, and I believe in myself more as I've accomplished more, but I still go, oh God, I can't do anything, but I know that's not true. I just know I have to get through that self-doubt. So
yeah, and it's a moment, like we kind of joked up front that we were like, I was grumpy and just tired. And I realized when I am in that state, when I'm PMSy, when I'm grumpy, when I'm tired, when I feel overwhelmed, I can often much easily be in that imposter syndrome state, as opposed to I'm like feeling well rested, I'm having a good week, I'm feeling really accomplished, so that when something maybe that's going to be a little bit more emotionally strenuous comes about, I'm like, whatever, I got this, I'm in a groove. So also kind of paying attention to your mental state when you're having those feelings, I think often kind of helps you get out of them too, which is like, if I feel down about myself this week, it's like, of course I would be, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah. Also, and we've talked about this before, accomplishing smaller things gets you going into like accomplishing bigger tasks. Yes. So like celebrate all the small wins. You brushed your teeth today? Great job. Put that check mark on that list. And just like let the smaller accomplishments build up, and then that kind of fuels the positive thinking to get the bigger ones done.
Even today we had to get up early and do a couple like not fun, mundane, not fun tasks, but they had to get done, and they had to get done.
Fit to fly test and some fraud shit with
just
credit cards.
Yeah, just a thing, just fun stuff. Somebody just giving you a task to do, trying to take the money you barely have.
Thank you.
But we got it all done before 9:30, and I was like, look at us.
I know.
Look at us.
And then we fell asleep for the rest of the day.
We took a nap.
We just woke up.
I was like, are there lines on my face? But it sounds silly just even saying it out loud. I was like, had to get done. We got it done. Let's do what's next. But thank you so much for writing in.
Yeah,
What's her name again?
Their name, because I don't know the gender, is Tjiema.
Tjiema. Thanks for writing in, Tjiema.
Thank you.
Okay, Googles.
Mm-hmm.
We are very excited. We have a Patreon Google guest. Rebecca is here.
Hey.
Yay!
Hi.
What did you Google this week?
I got curious as to whether, or I guess what the link is between anxiety and anger. Because I don't know if you've ever been really stressed out and it's super easy to just snap at everyone. Like, I have legitimately broken a bin because I couldn't peel an egg one day.
Are you shaming us? Because that was the last several hours.
No idea what that was.
Yeah, I've legitimately broken a bin because I couldn't peel my egg properly one day because I was just like, really? Like just stupid stuff. And you're like, that wasn't worth being angry over. They did some experiments where they depleted people's serotonin levels on alternating days by reducing the tryptophan amount they were getting, and found that the limbic system is basically about regulating your emotions and your responses to your emotions and things like that. So there's two areas. It's the amygdala, which is where a lot of those emotions are generated, and then there's the prefrontal cortex, where more about regulating how you respond to that. So when you have reduced amounts of serotonin in your system, the communication between those two is impaired. So they found that if they were intentionally depleting people of serotonin, their responses tended to flip to anger a lot more easily. But you also get the same thing that people will flip to an anxiety response a lot more easily. Serotonin and dopamine are kind of opposing things. Like dopamine is the thing that kind of gets you up and going and seeking things and wanting to do stuff. And serotonin is you're like, just chill. It's fine. You can just sit down. It doesn't matter.
I lost all my serotonin.
That's okay.
One of my Googles. Like, how do you know if you're out of serotonin?
My next Google was, how do you get more serotonin, actually?
Yeah.
I also have no chill.
I'm really sure how they should label it in school. Serotonin, the chill or no chill.
And dopamine, the should I do it or should I really not do that? If you've got low serotonin, it also tends to result in an overproduction of dopamine in some people. So you get actually more and more and more amped up, which then I didn't actually know, but apparently dopamine is the precursor for norepinephrine, which is your stress hormone. So it's like this awful little feedback loop if I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier as you go.
What did it say about how to get more serotonin?
So one of them, which was probably pretty heavily implied in the study, is foods that contain tryptophan. So that's things like turkey, milk, depending if you're lactose intolerant, that's probably not going to go well. I think shellfish. The other interesting thing with serotonin is apparently,
if I'm stressed out, I don't want tuna fish. Like, can I
no, yeah, like
tuna isn't a shell. So
I've never on a bad day said, you know what I need? Clams.
I'm so stressed. I need some mussels right now.
They're tasty if they're done well, but if you've ever tried to get them out the damn shell, like I don't think that's stress relieving.
It's gonna make you throw things.
Yeah.
It's throwing things. Now that one actually is exercise and movement. Apparently movement is heavily linked to dopamine, but when you move a lot, it will help you to release serotonin again, or at least reduce the amounts of dopamine present. So things like going for a run.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing I like to hear more when I'm really stressed out. Like, you should go for a run and be a better person. Though it does, I know it makes me feel better.
Yeah, but like, so like the idea comes in your brain and you're fuck off brain.
Yeah. Oh, and looking after your gut health. So apparently 90% of your serotonin is in the gut. So yeah, those three, and then there are serotonin supplements, but they're kind of a double-edged sword. Because the more you tend to supplement something, the less you tend to rely on your own production of it.
Run to the shrimp place.
Yeah. I'm so not going to eat shrimp when I'm stressed out. There's a really interesting podcast. They were talking about the fact that carbohydrate is required to kind of transport serotonin to the brain in a lot of cases. So apparently if you are wanting to kind of help that for as you're winding down for the day or as you're sleeping, if you're going to have like really carby stuff, that's a good time to do it because it helps with sort of serotonin production and transportation for winding down for bed.
It helps with sleeping too, but it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You can eat a big bowl of carbohydrates in the beginning of your day so that you can burn them off.
Yeah, so you have energy.
Yeah.
Happy to try pasta before bed. Really happy.
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for donating, and thanks so much for donating your time and being a part of
Oh
this.
yeah, no, this was so much fun. All right, bye.
Mine's super quick.
All right, yeah, let's go first.
Okay, my Google was just like basic curiosity. So we talked about like literally early pandemic. I got into my 45-minute skincare regimen. I talked about retinol a bunch, But then I wanted to know, is dermatologist retinol cream, like if it has better results than over the counter? Because there's like a gazillion over the counter. But I remember the first time I went on retinol because some friend told me it was the doctor version. And then I was like, well, if the doctor gave it to me, it must be better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's not always the best thinking. So I Googled it. It says, okay, the doctor version, the dermatologist version is stronger and can give better results, but it can also be more irritating. And they actually often recommend that you start using the over-the-counter retinol to accumulate, to acclimate to the ingredients. So I was like, oh.
That's what I would have thought. Like over-the-counter or prescribed retinol seems like it would tear your skin, like just melt your skin off like you're in a
I think that's why I stopped.
movie.
I think that's why I stopped using it, because I got like I hated the dermatologist.
I wonder what, like, if there's like a worse thing than just like wanting to have youthful complexion that you would need a retinol like that for, like if it actually treats something that's a bigger deal.
Why you would want the more stronger one?
Yeah.
Well, what I did read, which I thought was interesting, is that so somebody like me, that I have really oily skin, like I always look shiny all the time. A stronger retinol is often more not as harsh for somebody like me, as opposed to somebody that has dry, sensitive skin. And then also, I forget what they said about teenagers. So there is something about, I think they said, for some reason, I think it might be harsher for teenagers and less so. I forget what it said about teenagers, if I'm being honest.
Because their skin is so oily, it has more to cut through. There's more layers of oil that it needs to get out.
Yeah, I just think teenagers and probably my kind of skin, my oily skin, it would actually react better as opposed to somebody that already has dry and sensitive skin. But weirdly enough, I actually have oily and sensitive skin, so who knows? But I was just like, it was kind of like, do I want to go to a dermatologist and try a stronger version? But I will say this, they did say that the over-the-counter does do a good job. So it's like, and it might not be that you might not need it because, like I said, it's much harsher, and you might stop using it because it's so harsh.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the fence. Also, I absolutely hated my dermatologist and wrote a joke about what an idiot he was. So I would have to start over and looking for a dermatologist.
Is this the one that recommended Accutane?
Yeah, and okay. I yelled at him and I left his office.
The best thing I ever did. Best decision I ever made.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Mine was about is climate change making turbulence worse? Because I feel like the flights I've been taking lately have been really bumpy. And I never used to be scared of flying. And I definitely never used to be scared of turbulence until, I don't know if like I just was like, wait, hang on. Because it used to feel like being on a jet ski and I used to think it was kind of fun. And then I realized I was in the air. And that's terrifying. So, but like, I do feel like every flight that I've taken as of late has been a lot bumpier than I remember. And I fly a lot, so.
Could you also just not be used to it? Because we used to fly all the time, and now we haven't really flown in a year.
No, I started getting scared before the pandemic.
Okay.
And well, the answer is yes. Climate change is making turbulence worse.
Right.
Something about jet patterns and like it's speeding up like winds in one direction. So like you'll get to like from New York to London in like an hour and a half, but London to New York will take like 82 hours because it's like slowing down in the other direction. And that's not a big deal, but the big deal is that like there's like wind shears or something's happening. Like this Google, I needed a diagram for, and they didn't have a diagram. I read like 4 articles, there's no diagram, but there's something about like a wind shear that like will make the plane, there's like increased occurrences of clear air turbulence. So there's no indication that it's coming. Cause like with a mountain range or with like weather patterns, they can know it's coming. Clear air turbulence is just like, it's like black ice or something. You just don't see it. And then
which is interesting. It's how I feel sometimes when like I'm on a bridge and like all of a sudden I get a gust of wind and it like pushes my car and I'm like, how is my car moving without like it's like truly scary.
That is terrifying. And so like they can only really know about it by other pilots on the same flight path might warn the next pilot's coming, but like there's no real way to sense it. And they're working on the technology now. But so like there was a Turkish Airlines flight that dropped, when was it, like 2000, 2019, this thing just dropped and like 30 passengers, they had to land at JFK and 30 passengers got taken to the emergency room for serious injuries.
Because it dropped so deep out of the sky.
Yeah. So like they all say like there's no real risk of actually like the plane falling out of the air and you crashing. That's almost no. But you could be out of your seat or not have your seatbelt on and get thrown into the top part and hit your head, or
I always keep my seatbelt on.
Flight attendants can throw coffee on you, shit like that. So like there's been like 3 times as many injuries as of late. But what they're saying is that like the injuries are increasing. What did they say? But in 30 years it's going to be like 3 times as bad. So they're starting to like develop aircraft that can handle and withstand the turbulence. Like all aircraft can withstand the turbulence. They can withstand like way more turbulence than what's going on now. But it's like aircraft that is actually like, I think, absorbing the shock. So we don't feel it, because the instances of passengers vomiting on flights is increasing also.
Oh.
Yeah, passengers are getting nauseous left and right.
Can you imagine vomit and then you fall out of the sky and now you got vomit on you? That's a bad day.
Or someone else's vomit on you? That's the worst day.
No, but the whole time I was thinking it was someone else's vomit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't my vomit. Also, all vomit.
Like, sir, I have a show in 2 hours. You fucked me.
Yeah, I actually come on the plane quite gross. And if you sit next to me, I apologize, because I don't fly like my grandparents did, where they look like they're going to the ball. They look like you. They were like dressed. Yeah. They're just to be like, da, 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 da. Okay. I learned something.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Let's get personal.
Uh-huh.
Okay. How do you think you're different from your parents?
So I picked this one because we were always talking about how like we're just like our parents, and I thought it would be interesting to see how we're not like our parents.
Oh, I made a full list.
Oh, right.
I kind of panicked that I wasn't gonna know, and I was gonna be like, they're taller.
Yeah.
I was like kind of, which is true. They are taller, which is quite sad because they're not very tall.
Oh.
But I made like a bullet point, and then we can go deep into it, and then we can cross-check.
Okay.
I would say I'm more vulnerable than my parents. I would say I'm a better communicator than my parents. I would say I prioritize friendship, unlike my parents. I'm much poorer than my parents. I have no kids. I'm happier. Those are just facts. I've had much more therapy. I've had all the therapy. I'm not as smart or educated as my parents. I'm not putting myself down. Those are just facts. I am taller, or I am shorter. That is also a fact. And I have traveled more.
Okay. Cool.
I'm funny though. I'm really funny. They're about like, I'm here.
Your parents are funny.
My parents are both really funny.
Yeah. You definitely got that from them. I think that I'm not religious like my parents are. So I think there's that. I think I'm more optimistic and less practical than my dad. Like, I think I'm more willing to like take leaps of faith, or he would call them risks, than him. But my mom, I think she's more like that.
Which is crazy, because when you say that, I think your mom didn't know your dad and then flew to Egypt. Your dad flew to America, and your dad flew to, like, they took the ultimate risk. And so you taking these kind of multiple baby risks, I actually think, like, I know that they're scared sometimes for you, but in my mind, I'm like, you are the same.
Yeah. I mean, no, there are a lot of similarities, which is why I'm like having a hard time trying to figure out like the differences. My dad's like meat and potatoes guy. He likes steak and fries. And I like to try all kinds of different foods. I'm different. I think the religious thing's a big one.
I would say that you love, I don't say this in a bad way, you love luxury, and you know what I mean? Like and my parents are very similar, although I'm similar to them in this aspect, but like my parents are like, I had it once, it was good, I could eat this every day. And you're like, I want to try all the amenities. I want all the amenities. I want everything to, like, I want, if I can get it, I want it. If I can't get it, I still want it.
Yeah.
And I feel like our parents are kind of similar in that sense, where they're just like, it was good, why would I get something different?
Yeah, definitely. They're better with money. Well, no, my dad's better than money. Oh my God, I'm my mom. That's all I'm finding out.
Yeah, your mom's a risk taker. Your mom's very creative.
She shops more than I do.
Okay, well, that's something to look forward to. That's going to increase.
Okay. And I only have one sibling, and they both had very many siblings.
Okay. How did they get along with their parents?
I don't know. My mom's dad died when she was 12.
Oh.
And then my mom's mom, like, she had like, my mom was like a violin prodigy. Like, she just learned to play violin by ear, which I don't know if you've ever picked up a string instrument. You can't just do it by ear. I don't know how she did that. And so like she was doing performances at schools.
Yeah.
And then her mom was like, it's a waste of time. Go pray, go study, go do something else. Yeah. And so I think my mom sort of wanted to like get away from this, like the eye of her parents or her mom and like society. And then your dad? My dad, I got one story about how like he was late to a wedding, getting like his sister was getting married and his other sister was pregnant, and he had them both, and they were in a cab. And the cab driver didn't have like headlights. He didn't have any lights, and he was driving really dangerously. And at one point he had to slam on his brakes, and then his sister, who was pregnant's head went flying into the back of the cab. So my dad is shaking and angry. And by the time they got to the wedding, finally, his dad was like, "Where the fuck have you been?" And he was like, "Don't you fucking start with me right now."
You don't know what we've been through.
Oh yeah.
What year was that?
And I think like it's got to be before 66, because I think that's when his dad died. So like 63, something like that.
You're also, I think you're a pretty good communicator. You know what I mean? Like expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I think I'm better at communicating than my parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited about our topic. Our topic this week is adrenaline and like adrenaline junkies. I guess the first question is, would you consider yourself an adrenaline junkie?
Okay. That's a hard one because stand-up essentially is an adrenaline rush. But I didn't really get addicted to it. Like when I couldn't do it over lockdown, I wasn't like, oh my God, I need stand-up. What am I going to do? So I'm not a junkie in that sense, but I do think I tend more towards drama queen, which is also another form of adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm like the ultimate drama queen by any means. I don't like watching shows about people with dramas, like reality TV. But I have noticed, I think I was looking at a checklist, which I meant to pull up on my phone, but I have noticed like the checklist for drama queen was like all me. And see if I can find it.
Okay, so while you look for it, I'm gonna just give some definitions. So first of all, the role of adrenaline in your body. So it makes your heart beat faster and your lungs breathe more efficiently. It causes the blood vessels to send more blood to your brain and muscles. Oh, sorry, I'm saying this wrong. It causes the blood vessels to send more blood to your brain and muscles, increases your blood pressure, makes your brain more alert, and raises sugar levels in the blood to give you energy. And then causes of like an adrenaline rush can be imagined or real, and can be initiated by strenuous activity or like strenuous exercise, heart failure, chronic stress, anxiety, or a disorder of the brain or adrenal glands. So there's both like that kind of like, I definitely, as I'm having a panic attack, that's like an adrenaline rush. Yeah. Like that's where like, and it becomes, and sometimes that panic attack is based on things that are actually happening, but more than not, my panic attacks have been based on like imagined stuff. Like and we've talked about it in our panic attack episodes and anxiety episodes. It did say experiencing some stress is normal, clearly, and there is a function for this, clearly. Sometimes even it could be even beneficial for your health, like we said, with like exercise or if you're, competing or whatever. But over time, persistent surges of adrenaline can damage your blood vessels, increase your blood pressure, elevate your risk of heart attacks or stroke, and it can also result in anxiety, weight gain, headaches, and insomnia. So I think, as somebody that like, and we've talked about this where like, a couple episodes ago, I talked about having night terrors and how I would like fall asleep with it less than an hour. I would have like some bad dream, some like kind of night terror, and then wake up and my heart is pounding and I feel like someone's in the room and I can't sleep. Also, just other episodes I've talked about my sleep issues, which is like, my anxiety. Also, we kind of talked about in one of our really early episodes, like our third episode when we talked about doing stand-up, but when I do stand-up at night, like, so I would say the average show, especially during the week, is an 8 p.m. show. So I'm usually home, I don't know, if I don't go out afterwards, I'll be home by like like 10 or 11. But sometimes one of the reasons I think I have a late dinner and I hang out afterwards is because I'm just like hyped up and I'm very alert. And to come home and be home by 10, it's like I drank 3 cups of coffee and then I'm trying to like calm down, and it's so hard. So like a lot of times I hang out late, not because I've done more shows, just because I literally have so much adrenaline pumping inside me and it's bedtime that so I often cannot go to bed within a couple of hours of doing stand-up.
Oh, me either. I'm up. I'm like without stand-up, I am in bed by 10. With stand-up, 2 a.m., 1 a.m.
So you found a drama queen article, my love?
Yeah, because like that's part of the adrenaline. Because what is it? It's I know you were saying exactly what was happening in the brain, but like that's that cortisol, that stress responses that what people are getting addicted to. So the same thing sort of happens when you have drama and you just walk by people and they're just like on the phone. Have you ever noticed they're just on the phone like, don't do this to me? Oh, well,
what I've also noticed is there's certain, and I actually don't think this is you, but I think are earlier version of me, as well as I know people like this where it's just like every day something has gone wrong. Every day there's chaos and you're like, it can't just be magic. Like some of it's how you're responding to it. Like you're making something that isn't a big deal. Some of it is that you're bringing it into your life. And some of it is because you not get off on this, but like it gives you purpose.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out about like Johnny has a friend who's every time I see him, he's got something dramatic going on. And he says things casually as if like it's not a big deal. And then you go, what? Wait, what? What happened? Yeah. And like it's insane. And he's just like, oh yeah, it's like everyday life. And I wonder if I don't know if what if he grew up in an environment that was chaos and that's what he thinks is comfortable, or if something bad and dramatic is happening to him, then that means nothing else bad can happen to him. Because some people feel like if things are good, then something bad could happen just because things are good, and that's just the way life works. So if you're constantly like actually my mom was talking to me about, I was like, oh, have you talked to someone lately, like one of her relatives? She was like, she's afraid to be happy. She's afraid to say she's happy because she thinks it'll jinx
her happiness.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. But I think that is instilled in some people. And then I also think when your whole life is chaos, you don't feel whole if it's not. Hence why you might have a partner that's always kind of bringing that into your life. And I think I have been susceptible for that. But if you're not fighting, if you're not suspicious, if you're not angry, like then that's not a relationship.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I remember I was talking about this with one of my friends who is with this guy she met on Bumble. They're now married. But I remember she went on a couple dates. She's like, I really like him, but I don't know. He's wonderful. Like I have no complaints and I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I was like, okay, are you listening to yourself? I literally was like, she's like, what do you mean? I was just like, he sounds like an adult.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like he doesn't bring baggage and he knows how to deal with his emotions. I don't know. It's 3 dates in, but give it a little bit. And she realized it really was like, he's not avoiding me. He returns my text messages. Like this kind of like, you get addicted to the chase, but that you also get addicted to the chaos and the rejection. Like, and you wonder why you keep being with these people that aren't good for you. But I think you're raised that way. And I think that's the same kind of, that chaos is that adrenaline that you get when you have a problem and you get to share it, or something bad happens and you have to go solve it.
Yeah, there was a Sex and the City episode where it was going really well with her and this guy. And so she was like, she didn't trust it. She was like, there's gotta be something wrong. So when he was at work, he was like, yeah, sure, stay at my place. And so she started going through his stuff to see. She's like, I know there's something wrong with this guy. And then he caught her, obviously, and that's what ended up ending the relationship.
Yeah, because it's fucked up.
It is fucked up. But
I want to see your drama queen list.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of scared that I'm gonna be like, get it. Like just check. All right, I'm ready.
Well, the first one you might have to worry about. Do you dominate conversations by talking about yourself and the things that have happened to you?
Always.
Yeah. Are you often negative, critical, or judgmental? All the time. Yes. Do you gossip about others? I try not to, but I do. Are you drawn to listen to negative gossip? Yeah, I love it.
Only if I hate the person. I'll be honest. Like it used to be like gossip was gossip. And now like, I don't want to hear, if I hate them and they're a bad person, I like it. But if I don't, I'm like, I can kind of be like, that's their journey. Good for them.
Yeah, for sure. Do you share overly personal information with others?
On stage,
On
every
a
day.
podcast. Do you talk about your problems to anyone that will listen? Hi again. Have you ever found yourself competing with others in terms of the pain and tragedies your life has included? So this one's not me either. Do you ever repeatedly find yourself in relationships that are bad for you?
Yes, but not as bad as they once were. Like that's where I've actually seen most of my growth is that I can call it quicker, I can identify it quicker, I can usually get out of it quicker. That has increasingly gotten better with therapy.
Yeah, I think currently no. I think previously yes.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself attracted to people that need fixing? For me, no, I've never been attracted to that.
Yes, and I'm getting better. And then also, yes, I was absolutely drawn to people that needed fixing, mostly because I felt like I needed fixing. And I still have those people and they're wonderful and I don't want to get rid of them. But going forward, it's now like immediately, like, especially that one where you dump your problems. Because the truth of the matter is we dump our problems on our podcast and in our stand-up, but I don't do it in personal life with that other than with my friends who I ask almost permission for. Hey, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
Can I dump? But a lot of these I would say was like 25-year-old Liz. And I've worked really hard to get rid of a lot of this stuff because it made me unhappy. And then I attracted unhappy people.
You have a joke about it now, actually, about how like not dealing with people who aren't there yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you handle stress badly by having tantrums or using habits in an addictive way? No, I feel like this is an unfair wording because I don't have tantrums, but I do use habits in an addictive way.
I feel like everybody does though.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is I have some healthy addictions in the sense that like I will go for a run. I might call a friend. Whatever. And it's like I have to do it. But then also like I'm sad and I'll go fucking eat 2 candy bars because I'm like, I want to hurt my stomach. And I know that's what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to hurt my stomach and just sugar rush myself. And it's a bad habit I have and I still do it sometimes and I am aware of what I'm doing. But everybody does it. That's why you drink alcohol. That's why you do drugs.
Shop.
That's why you shop. Absolutely. So it's like a little bit like that's a coping mechanism and I don't appreciate it.
I had the best coconut cake last night from Whole Foods.
She did. She talked about it the whole night.
Okay. Do you handle stress badly? Okay. Do you exaggerate the extent of your problems? I think we're both pretty dead on about our problems.
No, actually, we make them funnier, so that's like a skill. Yeah, let's know about that.
Do you look for drama in the lives of others? What does that mean?
I wonder if you like flame the fire, like like maybe egg people on.
Oh, I think that's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. If anything, I'm trying to be like, it's not that bad. You can get through it. I believe in you. I give good pep talks.
Yeah. So I kind of actually avoid like people who are so dramatic about things. Like they're always every time you talk to them, it's just there's something going on, and you're just like, yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first step to overcoming it is just being aware of it. Keep track of how often you are negative, gossipy, or dominant conversations. This one's like a really good one for me too. I have to remember not to be so negative about everything. I remember when I first got here, I was so tired from being on the flight. And I was just, I don't know, like it was like pre-period and I complained about literally everything that happened.
Yeah, and I was aware that you were tired. And I know for a fact when I'm tired and stressed, I am the worst version of myself. And so I can usually catch it, but I can't stop it. Like I can call it and be like, hey, I'm really tired and I suck right now.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna be like, fuck him, fuck them, set everything on fire.
Yeah. I couldn't help myself. Ask for others to keep you aware, give people permission to tell you when you're overreacting, getting dramatic, or being too negative, and get help from a coach or counselor. It's always what they say.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, like I've like called up Carmen, like me and Carmen now, I have her previous agent. So she was with this agent for 10 years and now he's my agent and she's with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So she knows him, like she knows him super well. So it's not complaining about him. It might be like a question that I have about something like he's doing this. Is that normal? Am I supposed to? I feel like I want to ask this, but I'm scared to ask it. Like, so I'll go through that and she'll be like, all right, this is a normal request. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck them, why are they asking? And she'll like calm me down because A, I don't know, and B, and she did this when we were living together too. I would read an email from somebody and I would like blow up. I'd be like, fuck them, I hope they die in a fire. I'm smart enough not to say that, but and she'll read it and she's like, dude, I don't see it. Like, this is actually a really nice email. And I'm like, really? So I've always said I have kind of like piss colored glasses. Like, I kind of read into everything in a negative way, and I still somewhat struggle with that. So the first reading, I might get angry, then I might need to take a break from it. I might need to show a friend, I might whatever. But I often know that my first response I can't always trust.
Yeah. I went, so like this says, practice impulse control, waiting before you allow yourself to react emotionally. Like, even something is.
I was gonna say, remember the text you were reading in the car and you were really angry and you're like, how should I respond to this woman? And I was like,
oh, I'm still mad about that. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna respond today because I'm pissed off. And now, like 2 days later, I'm still angry. I'm still angry at that thought.
Okay, fuck that girl.
But like, I was getting my nails done, and this is not a big deal at all. But I think I had the pressure compounded of like we were doing shows. I'm getting my headshots done. Headshots are expensive. The past 2 headshots I've gotten over the past couple of years have been bad. I trust this photographer, but like, I got my nails done, and the color isn't exactly what like it doesn't matter is the thing. But like, I got it, and like, it just the fact that she didn't really check. Usually they paint one nail and they check with you to make sure you like it. She didn't check. I should have looked, and she didn't really do anything or say anything when I was like, this isn't the same color as on the bottle. And she was just like she just didn't care. And it was because she didn't care or try to make it better. There's nothing she could have done other than start over, which neither of us were going to do. But that fact that she didn't choose, it was like, her attitude was, what do you want me to do about it? That, like, I was like, it infuriated me. And I was like, this is a stupid thing to get mad about, so don't get mad about it. So I just like clammed up and just shut up, and I shut down. And I still don't think that made her feel good. The truth is they're beautiful. At the time, I was just losing my mind. I was just like, it's just too much on my mind. And so I just didn't say anything, because what I wanted to say was much worse, even though still not saying anything made no one feel good.
Yeah, but I still think you handled it the best you could in that situation. And after the fact, like, it was like hours later, you're like, even I was like, it looks beautiful. And you're like, it does.
It really does. Like, it's perfect. And
yeah, and sometimes there's that craziness that you don't even realize it's there or whatever. You can't have any kind of basic thought. I get it. Like, all the stress makes you just not able to make a decision. But that has been my safety net, is if I'm at a 10 rage wise and I feel like I'm not going to be the version of myself I want to be, I just go, all feelings gone, because I'd rather be shut down and cold than crazy bitch hurting somebody that does not deserve this because of my crazy emotions. And I think you did the best you could in that situation.
Yeah, because I knew I was being crazy, and I knew it was.
But you didn't know how to stop.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like I'm on the inside. I'm the volcano.
Yeah,
like,
and then 3 hours later, you're like, they're beautiful and they're just nails. What was wrong with you? I do want to quickly get into just like technically what an adrenaline junkie is. So it's like a person that has like a compulsive desire for excitement and adventure. But I think that could even be broken down into like what we were talking about, which is that kind of like chaos and just like something's always going on. You know what I mean? There's always a fire in their life. So adrenaline releases dopamine in our nervous system. Once everything has happened and the risk has been eliminated, the sensation of pleasure and peace can be like quite noticeable. So you have somebody that does like extreme sports where, you know what I mean? Like, they're doing some crazy thing where they're flying over something, and that kind of, it's that huge dopamine. And then after that, and I realized that with stand up a little bit, because we joked so much this weekend, which was like, you know, I'm doing an hour, you're doing 20 minutes. Neither of us have been on stage in a while. We're like freaking out, and great shows, super happy with them. But immediately after, I'm like, oh, that was so fun. Okay, let's do nothing now. Like, it was like, I enjoy being on stage. I absolutely enjoy being on stage. But my favorite feeling is once it's done and it went well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it really is, because it's a mixture of both like calm and excitement, but you don't have to do anything. That's the best.
Yeah.
But the nerves leading up, and then even like in the moment, like sometimes I'm in the moment and I'm absolutely happy, but sometimes I'm in the moment and I'm like, we have a half hour more to go. I'm tired now. So yeah, I don't know. I will say early Liz doing stand-up was an adrenaline junkie, both in the chaos version that we were talking about, but also in the I couldn't not do stand-up. I was crazy, like absolutely crazy. Where like I remember when we first became friends, like it was raining and you're like, I think I'm gonna cancel my spot. And I'm like, what? And this was like when getting a spot was really hard to get.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my mind, I was like, why would you cancel a spot because it was raining? But I think it was like a spot you're like, it's not gonna be good anyway, and it's raining. And in my mind, I would have never said no to a spot.
I know, but a lot of people are more like you than me. I was always happy when we get to a show and it would be canceled because nobody came, and I was always like, "Yeah, let's go get tacos." And everyone else would be really down and be like, "Oh, let's try another show or let's try this mic or whatever." And I'm like, I don't have to get on stage.
I was using stand-up in the beginning as a form of medication and validation, and now it's so much more about craft and building my hour and I like what I'm doing. And because before it was searching for like, am I good at this? Do people think I'm good at this? Do I have value as a human? And now it's like, I'm already good at this. I just want this, what I'm working on right now, to be good and be ready for the next opportunity. And it's in that shift was so important for my mental health, but that shift was so important for when the pandemic happened. I definitely was scared I was going to get depressed, and I was scared about not getting stage time, but I wasn't hungry for it, and I wasn't depressed. Like I was really scared. I was almost determining how bad it was going to go for me internally the same way I thought it would have been when I was in my 20s, and it just wasn't. I was able to relax. I think that my biggest fear when not doing stage time is always forgetting stuff, because I have a bad memory and it takes me a lot longer to keep things and to get out of the rusty part of getting back into things. But I can take breaks. Yeah. And I think that's what the pandemic really showed me, is I'm not as addicted to it as I once was, because there's different meaning to it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Which is, I think, growth, guys. There's some real growth.
Yeah.
I would like to hear anybody. I would like to hear from people that have a weird adrenaline junkie. So like I think of like the typical like esports. I don't know why I think of that, but like somebody that's jet skiing or like, you know, diving out of a plane or whatever, or I don't know, bouldering. You know what I mean? Like something where there's like a risk factor. But I would love to hear about like an interesting adrenaline junkies, reformed adrenaline junkies. Just something we've never heard of. So you can write to us at 2 non-doctors, which is 2 full word doctors @gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.